I was reborn exactly 5 minutes before my girlfriend, Victoria Vance, threw a check in my face. In my past life, I swallowed my pride and took the money. She called me a coward for it, then turned around and married the heir of a real estate dynasty, a business alliance arranged by her family. This time, staring at the $1 million check, I tore it into shreds and tossed it straight into the champagne tower. As the entire ballroom watched in stunned silence, I grabbed her wrist and pinned her against the wall. "Miss Vance," I whispered, "I want your family's empire. And I want you." I had traveled back in time to the moment of my humiliation. My head felt like 1,000 needles were piercing it. Just seconds ago, I was working security at her wedding, watching her walk down the aisle with another man, the son of a property tycoon. My chest had felt like it was going to explode. Now, I was standing in the living room of the Vance family's absurdly opulent Hamptons estate. The crystal chandelier was blinding. The air smelled of expensive perfume and old money. Victoria stood right in front of me, wearing a little black cocktail dress that made her skin look porcelain white. The contempt in her eyes was like an ice pick. She held out a check between her manicured fingers, her red lips parting slightly. "Caleb, here is $1 million. Her voice was cold and detached, a far cry from when she used to call me Cal. "Take it and disappear from my sight." Surrounding us, the well-dressed men and women of New York's elite were watching the show. I recognized them. Trust fund kids from Victoria's circle. Someone chuckled in the background. "Victoria's ruthless. Throwing money at him is the best way to handle a leech like that." Poor kid from the sticks thought he could marry into the Vance family? Please. Damn, $1 million? That's more than a bottom feeder like him would earn in 10 lifetimes. In my last life, those words cut like knives. I was fresh out of college, naive, and loved her so pathetically that I thought my pride was worth more than my life. Provoked by Victoria's attitude and the crowd's mockery, I had actually taken the check in a fit of rage-fueled compliance. The result? By taking the money, I confirmed their bias. To her and her friends, I became trash who sold his feelings for cash. Later, when my own startup began to show promise, I tried to confront her at her wedding. She just glanced at me through the crowd and said to her groom, "Just some ungrateful thing from my past." I paid him off, but he's still not satisfied. Ungrateful thing. I still remember how much that hurt. This time around, to hell with dignity. To hell with being civil. I was going to make Victoria Vance, and everything she looked down on, belong to me completely. Victoria's hand, still holding the check, went stiff. She probably didn't expect me to just stand there for so long. Last time, I took it instantly and fled. "Caleb Stone," she frowned, her patience wearing thin. "Take the money and go. We aren't from the same world. Stop dreaming." Behind her, a guy in a loud, tacky pink dress shirt stepped up. It was Chad Sterling, Victoria's #1 orbiter. He had a cigarette dangling from his mouth as he sneered, "Kid, Tori's giving you an out. Take it. You couldn't earn 1 million flipping burgers in 100 years. You should be thanking her." I ignored the barking dog and kept my eyes locked on Victoria. The woman was devastatingly beautiful, her features exquisite, but her eyes were too cold, filled with that condescending charity. Suddenly, I smiled. I reached out, but not for the check. I grabbed the wrist that was holding it. Her skin was warm, smooth as fine silk. She froze, a flash of shock crossing her eyes. She had probably never been touched so disrespectfully by a bottom feeder like me. "Victoria." My voice was raspy, carrying the raw edge of my rebirth. "You think I'm only worth $1 million?" The room went quiet. The spectators leaned in, sensing drama. Victoria tried to pull her hand back, but I held on tight. Her expression darkened. "What do you mean? Not enough?" "Caleb, don't be greedy." Chad stepped forward. "Hey, who do you think you are? Let go of her." I didn't even glance at him. My eyes were locked on Victoria as I slowly raised my other hand to pinch the check she was holding. 2 fingers clamped down on it. $1 million to buy out our past. I scoffed, then twisted my wrist. Riot. The crisp sound echoed. The check tore down the middle, then into quarters. Finally, into a pile of confetti. I flicked my hand, and the paper snowed down into the champagne tower a waiter was holding nearby. The bubbles fizzed as the paper sank. Dead silence. Everyone was stunned, including Victoria. Her eyes went wide, looking at me like I was a lunatic. Chad reacted first, shouting a curse as he lunged at me. I yanked Victoria's wrist, pulling her directly into my chest. She gasped, colliding with me. Soft and fragrant. I lower my head, my lips almost brushing her ear, whispering so only she could hear, "I don't give a damn about the money. Listen to me, Victoria. You and everything the Vance family owns. Eventually, it's all going to be mine. Now that is what you call greedy." Before she could process the shock, I lowered my head and kissed her hard on her parted, surprised lips. Cold, soft, tasting of that icy perfume she always wore. An electric current shot through me. Damn, things I didn't dare dream of in my last life. I was doing 5 minutes into this one. Time seemed to freeze. I felt Victoria turn to stone in my arms. Her lips were incredibly soft, but she didn't react. She was in total shock. The room exploded. Gasps, the sound of shattering glass. Chad's roar. "You son of a bitch, Caleb. Get off her." Chad rushed me, reaching for my collar. Still holding Victoria tight against me with one arm, I deepened a kiss while blindly lashing out with a backward kick. My heel connected squarely with Chad's shin. He howled, clutching his leg and dropping to the floor. Enough. I released Victoria's lips. They were swollen, glistening, and her eyes were unfocused. A flush was spreading uncontrollably across her cheeks. She was breathing hard, her chest heaving. "You." She managed one word, her voice trembling. I raised my hand and used my thumb to wipe a questionable smudge of moisture from the corner of her mouth, moving deliberately slow, with a touch of arrogance. "Tastes good," I murmured, making sure she heard. Victoria's face turned crimson. Her eyes finally focused, filling with shame and rage. She raised her hand to slap me. I caught her wrist effortlessly, leaning in until our noses almost touched. "Miss Vance, we've barely started. Can't handle it already? You bastard." Her voice cracked, tears welling up. God, what a rush. So this is what it feels like to drag the untouchable Ice Queen down from her pedestal. In my last life, I worshipped her, put her on an altar, and I was nothing. In this life, I was going to ruin her composure. That makes me a bastard? I laughed. Trust me, the real bastard is yet to come. I let her go and scanned the stunned guests. No one dared to step forward. Chad was still on the floor, groaning. I straightened my cheap t-shirt. It had gotten wrinkled in the scuffle. Then, I looked at Victoria and pointed to the shattered glass and the mess in the champagne tower. "Victoria, this round goes to me. Next time, let's play for stakes I actually care about." Without waiting for her reaction, I turned and strode out of that gilded cage, leaving a dead silence in my wake. Once I hit the night air outside, my heart started pounding against my ribs like a drum. My back was soaked with sweat. I had been running on pure adrenaline and the insanity of rebirth. But it felt good. It felt damn good. The resentment that had choked me to death in my previous life was finally starting to vent. I knew this was just the beginning. Victoria wasn't just some girl. She was the favored heiress of the Vance dynasty, backed by a sprawling business empire. By causing a scene like this, I had stomped on both her face and her family's reputation. Trouble was coming, but I wasn't afraid. I was starting over with all the grit and memories from a lifetime of struggle. The Vance ship looked majestic now, but I knew that in a few years, internal rot and strategic errors would start to sink it. And I knew exactly where the leaks were. "Victoria Vance, just you wait. I'm going to eat you and your family alive." I didn't go back to my dorm. In my last life, I was still a broke student living in a loud 6-person suite. With the last few $100 in my pocket, I found a seedy motel in a rough part of Queens. $40 a night. The room was so narrow I could barely turn around, and the sheets smelled like mildew. But it felt more secure than sleeping on the $10,000 mattress in the Vance guest room. A cold shower cleared my head. I started a plan. Step 1, money. Capital was key. Time waited for no one, and the Vances wouldn't give me time to grow slowly. I needed fast cash. I racked my brain for quick windfalls around this time. Lottery? Couldn't remember the numbers. Stocks? I had some vague impressions, but I needed principal, and the cycle was too slow. Right? Crypto. I remembered clearly. It was exactly this year. A meme coin called Kitty Coin went viral because of some ridiculous internet trend. The price skyrocketed 50-fold in a week before crashing just as fast. A lot of speculators lost their shirts, but the ones who timed it right made a killing. In my last life, I heard about it as a joke. I couldn't recall the exact dates, but it was right around graduation. Early summer. It was early summer now. The window was open. My heart raced. This thing didn't require much capital. You could play with a few $100 or $1,000, and trading was flexible. I had to gamble on it. I only had about $50 left on me, which definitely wasn't enough. Who could I borrow from? My social circle was small. My family was broke, so I couldn't ask my parents. My classmates were all broke students too. The only person who might have a little cash and would actually lend it to me. A name popped into my head, Leo da Vinci Russo. My childhood friend. An art major with a messy, bohemian vibe. His family had a small business, so he was slightly better off than me. In my last life, after I hit rock bottom, most of my friends ghosted me. Leo was the only one who still dragged me out for drinks. He was the one. I immediately logged into Discord on the motel's ancient computer. I found Leo's profile, an edgy skull avatar, and saw he was online. I typed, "Leo, you awake?" He replied instantly, "Cal? What's up? Heard you bag a heiress? Drinks are on you." News traveled fast. The gossip from the Hamptons party must have already leaked. I didn't bother explaining. "Don't listen to that bullshit. I'm in a jam. Need cash fast. Can you spot me?" "Leo, how much?" I just bought a new tablet. I'm eating ramen for a month." I gritted my teeth. $1,000. 1 month max. I'll pay you back double." Leo went silent for almost a minute. I thought I was screwed. Then, the chat blinked. "Damn it. Send me your Venmo. That's my rent for next month." Don't break my heart, man. I didn't even give my first girlfriend this kind of trust. Warmth flooded my chest. "Don't worry, Leo. This time we're both getting rich." I noted down the transfer confirmation and looked out the window at the gray dawn. I couldn't sleep. I was wired, excited, a little anxious, but mostly driven by ambition. "Victoria, you better brace yourself. Your man is coming back to collect his debt." Leo's $1,000 hit my account by noon the next day. The idiot even called me, his voice so loud it hurt my ear. "Caleb, sent the cash. You aren't joining a pyramid scheme, are you?" I stared at the flashy, poorly designed crypto exchange on the internet cafe screen. "Better than a pyramid scheme. If I lose it, I'll be your butler." "Screw that. What do I need a butler for? Just pay me back. Double." I hung up and dumped the entire $1,000 into Kitty Coin. The price was pitifully low. I bought a massive stack. My palms were sweating as I clicked confirm. I knew history likely wouldn't change, but what if? What if my butterfly wings caused a hurricane? I made the bet. For the next few days, I holed up in that cheap motel, living on instant noodles. My eyes were glued to the candlestick charts. The price of Kitty Coin was stagnant, like dead water, occasionally even dipping. Leo sent his daily check-in. "Cal, did you flee the country yet?" I replied, solid as a rock. But internally, I was freaking out. On the morning of the 7th day, my phone buzzing against the nightstand woke me up. It was Leo. As soon as I picked up, he was screaming, "It's up! Caleb, it's exploding! That damn cat!" I snapped awake and threw myself at the computer. The exchange was a sea of green. The pixelated cat logo looked incredibly smug. The price curve was going almost vertical. My buy-in had already multiplied by 10. My heart felt like it was going to beat out of my throat. My hands shook, but I didn't sell. I remembered from my past life that at its peak, this garbage coin did nearly a 50x before the rug pull. I had to be greedy. For the next 2 days, the price kept going berserk. 20 times. 30 times. The fan on the motel's crappy computer was whirring like a jet engine, matching the boiling blood in my veins. Even the smell of cup noodles didn't seem so bad anymore. On the morning of the 4th day of the rally, the price hit a terrifying number, nearly 45x. It started to show volatility. I knew this was the top. If I didn't run now, I'd be left holding the bag. I took a deep breath, logged in, and set a limit order to sell everything. Confirm. The screen showed order filled. Account balance, $45,000. 1,000 turned into 45,000. In 11 days, I stared at the number, frozen. Then I fell back onto the bed, staring at the mold spots on the ceiling, and started grinning. The grin turned into a laugh, and my eyes stung. My first pot of gold. It wasn't millions, but it was enough of a lever to pry open the next door. My phone rang again. Lau. I picked up, and he was weirdly quiet. "Caleb." His voice was shaky. "I just checked my account. You sent me. How much?" $2,000. Principal plus interest. Told you I'd double it." Silence for a few seconds, then an earth-shattering roar. "Daddy, you are my biological father. Next time you got a play like this, call me. I'll sell a kidney to join in." I hung up, looking at the remaining $43,000 in my account. Time for step 2. Victoria. I wonder how you've been sleeping lately. I didn't go to Victoria immediately. Instead, I used the money to rent a small studio apartment near the University District. 1 bedroom, clean, simple furniture. I bought a decent laptop and a few outfits that made me look human. Clothes make the man. Cleaned up, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes weren't fearful like in my last life. They had a hardened, careless edge. Not bad. Then I went to a specific place, a high-end fitness club called Equinox. I remember from my past life that Victoria was a regular here. She had a fixed personal trainer named Brock Reynolds. This Brock guy later became one of Victoria's close friends. Ambiguous, bordering on intimate, though never official. Victoria seemed to have a thing for his gentle, muscular, attentive type. I walked into the club. The receptionist gave a standard smile. "Hi, do you have an appointment?" "No, just looking around. Want to sign up and get a trainer." "Great. Let me introduce you to our team. As she spoke, a tall man in a tight, athletic tank top walked out. Muscles carved from stone, handsome face, but his eyes had a calculating look as he assessed people. Brock Reynolds. His gaze swept over me, pausing for half a second on my new, but not designer sportswear. New member, he asked the receptionist casually. Brock, this gentleman is inquiring about training. Brock nodded at me, a polite greeting but lacking enthusiasm. Clearly, he didn't see me as a high-value target. I cut to the chase. I heard Brock is the best trainer here. Brock put on a mask of humble professionalism. You're too kind. What are your goals? Combat. I stared at him. Real fighting. Not cardio boxing. Brock raised an eyebrow, surprised. We have professional boxing and MMA classes, but the intensity is high, and the fees are. Money isn't an issue, I interrupted. I just want to know, if I train with you personally, how fast can I become dangerous? He sized me up again, probably thinking I was intense or looking for trouble. Depends on talent. With systematic training, you'll see results in a few months. Deal. I nodded. I'll take an annual membership and buy 50 private sessions with you. Can we start a trial now? Brock and the receptionist both paused. That was a big sale, especially since I didn't look particularly loaded. Brock's face instantly brightened into a sincere professional smile. Of course. What's your name, sir? Caleb Stone. Mr. Stone, right this way. Let's do a physical assessment first. I followed him inside. The gym floor was spacious, smelling of sanitizer and sweat. Then I saw her. Victoria Vance. She was in the cardio zone, wearing a cropped sports bra and leggings. Her figure was flawless. Damp strands of hair clung to her forehead, her cheeks flushed. She was running, staring into space, and didn't see me. But the guy on the treadmill next to her, Chad Sterling, saw me first. The lingering ghost in the pink shirt. He slammed the emergency stop button and pointed at me. What the hell? Caleb? How did you get in here? Chad's shout drew the attention of everyone nearby, including Victoria. She turned her head, saw me, and faltered in her stride, nearly tripping on the moving belt. Her eyes showed shock, then annoyance, and was that a hint of panic? Brock was confused, looking between Chad and me. Mr. Sterling, you know each other? Chad hopped off the treadmill, aggressive. Know him? That's putting it mildly. This guy is a stalker. Last time at Tori's house. Chad. Victoria cut him off sharply. She stopped her machine, grabbing a towel to wipe her sweat, her eyes cutting into me like razors. Why are you here? I shrugged, looking innocent. Working out. Does the Vance family own this place too? Am I banned? Victoria choked on her words, her expression icy. Chad jumped in. You? Working out? Can you even afford the membership fees? You sneak in here to steal towels. Brock stood in the middle, awkward but professional. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Vance. Mr. Stone just purchased a membership and a package of sessions. He's my new client. What? Chad's eyes bugged out. Him? Buying your sessions? Brock, are you that desperate? You take anyone now. Brock's face stiffened. I took a step forward, closing the distance to Victoria. She smelled of sweat mixed with that familiar, cool perfume. It was strange but intoxicating. Victoria, I'll lower my voice, teasing. Is your guard dog always this loud? He's giving me a headache. Victoria glared at me, her chest heaving, the outline of her figure stark under the gym lights. She didn't speak. Chad tried to lunge, but Brock stepped in to block him. Caleb, I'm warning you. Stay away from her. Chad bellowed. I ignored him, keeping my eyes fixed on Victoria. I reached out and gently flicked a speck of invisible dust off her shoulder. The gesture was deliberately intimate. She recoiled like she'd been burned, taking a sharp step back. Don't touch me. I smiled, pulling my hand back, but leaning closer to her ear, dropping my voice so only the two of you could hear. You look much better sweating than you do, freezing everyone out. Also, I've been thinking about that night for days. Victoria's ears turned red at a visible speed. Anger? Embarrassment? Probably both. She raised her hand, looking like she wanted to slap me again. This time I didn't block it. I just watched her, smiling. Her hand hovered in midair, trembling but didn't fall. The crowd of onlookers was growing. She realized causing a scene would be humiliating. Shameless, she hissed through gritted teeth. She shoved me aside, grabbed her water bottle, and stormed toward the locker rooms without looking back. Chad shot me a venomous look and scrambled after her. Tori, wait up. Brock looked at me, his expression complicated. Mr. Stone, you and Ms. Vance. I turned to him, the smile vanishing from my face. Trainer Reynolds, can we start the trial now? I want to learn how to drop someone in one move. Brock paused, then nodded. Right, this way. I knew today was just the opening move. The hook was set. Victoria, you can't run. Brock's training was legit. It was also brutal. By the end of the session, my body felt like it had been dismantled, but my mind was clear. Sweat has a way of washing away the noise. After showering, I checked my phone. One missed call from an unknown number. I ignored it. I walked to the exit and realized it was pouring rain. A heavy downpour. I didn't have an umbrella and was about to make a run for it when a black Bentley pulled up slowly to the curb. The window rolled down. Victoria. She was back in her street clothes, a simple white dress. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes were dark. Get in. Her voice was hard, devoid of emotion. I was surprised. I raised an eyebrow. Miss Vance is offering me a ride? Aren't you afraid I'll attack you again? She frowned. Just get in. I have things to say. I opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. The car was filled with her scent. The partition was up, separating us from the stoic, middle-aged driver. Just the two of us in the enclosed space. The car pulled smoothly into the rain. How did you know I was here? I asked. Brock told me. Victoria stared straight ahead, her jaw tight. Caleb, what exactly is your game? Fitness. Like I said, stop playing dumb. She snapped her head toward me, fire dancing in her eyes. Buying Brock's sessions? Deliberately showing up in front of me? You think this is funny? I looked at her angry face. It was so much more alive than her ice queen mask. It is funny, I grinned. Watching you lose your cool is fascinating. She took a deep breath, trying to suppress her rage. Name your price. What will it take for you to disappear? Price. I reached out and tapped the back of her hand, resting on her lap. She snatched it away like I was high voltage. Victoria, I told you. I want you, and I want your family's assets. You're delusional. We'll see. I leaned back in the leather seat. But driving me home. Isn't this inviting the wolf into the sheep pen? Victoria ignored me, looking out the window again. The nape of her neck was pale, a stray lock of hair sticking to it. The silence stretched, broken only by the rhythmic thrum of the wipers. After a long time, she spoke, her voice much quieter. That night, my heart skipped. I waited. It was a mistake. We both forget it happened. Can't, I replied instantly. That was my first kiss, Miss Vance. She stiffened, her ears burning red again. Shut up. The car pulled up to my crappy apartment building. The rain was still coming down hard. Wow, you did your homework. You even know where I live. I pushed the door open, letting the wet air swirl in. Victoria didn't look at me. Don't show your face again. I stepped one foot out, then looked back. Victoria, guess what I want to do right now? She looked at me warily. I grinned. I want to drag you out into this rain and kiss you again. Without waiting for a reaction, I stepped out, slammed the door, and sprinted into the lobby. I glanced back. The Bentley was still there, idling. The rain washed over the windows, blurring the figure inside. But I knew she was watching me. That was enough. Boiling the frog? No, this was pouring boiling water on a rose. Let's see how long you can last, Victoria. I caught a cold from the rain, but the fire inside me was burning hotter. I started researching my next move. Kitty coin was a stroke of luck. But I remembered another key piece of intel. Later this summer, there would be an auction for a small plot of land in the West Harbor District. It was desolate. Nobody wanted it. But 6 months later, the city would announce a massive eco-park project right next to it, and the land value would explode. In my last life, it was a classic business school case study about a small developer getting lucky. Now, I knew exactly where that luck was buried. The auction barrier to entry wasn't high. My $35,000 remaining cash was barely enough for the deposit and a tiny down payment. But to actually secure the land and hold it, I needed real capital. I needed a partner. I looked around my circle. Nothing. Then Leo called, excited about dinner at a fancy restaurant. Cal, you gotta come. I'm bringing my girlfriend, and her best friend is coming. She's gorgeous. I wasn't in the mood, but he insisted. At the restaurant, Leo was cuddling with a quiet girl, Maya. Beside them sat another girl. I paused. It was Lily Vance, Victoria's younger cousin, the quiet art student I'd seen once at the club. She recognized me too, blinking in surprise, but staying silent. Leo introduced us loudly. My girl, Maya. This is her bestie, Lily. And this is my brother, Caleb Stone. Guys rolling in it lately. Lily nodded politely. During dinner, Leo and Maya were in their own world. Lily and I were basically wallpaper. I was distracted, thinking about the land deal. Halfway through, Leo and Maya went to the restroom. It was just me and Lily. She spoke up softly. Are you worried about something? I looked up. She quickly lowered her head, stirring her lemonade with a straw. You've been frowning the whole time. Nothing. Just business. Oh, she paused. I think. I heard a little bit. Are you looking for investors? I looked at her sharply. You know people? Lily blushed, her voice dropping to a whisper. My uncle. Victoria's father. He's looking at land deals recently, but I'm not sure. Victoria's father? Richard Vance? The head of the Vance Group? That was an unexpected route. But through Victoria? She probably wanted me dead. Lily saw my expression and panicked. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not offering to introduce you. I was just saying. This girl. Timid but observant. Thanks, I said. Regardless, thanks for the info. She turned redder, burying her face in her cup. Leo returned, and the noise resumed. I looked out at the city lights, a bold, risky plan forming in my mind. Maybe I didn't need to avoid the Vances. Maybe I could play a bigger game. I didn't go straight to Richard Vance. That would be suicide. I needed leverage. I used some back channels to spread rumors about favorable zoning changes in West Harbor. Nothing too obvious, just whispers in the right circles. At the same time, I used my remaining cash to register a shell company, Visionary Capital. Sounded legit. Then, I met Lily again, formally, at a coffee shop near her campus. She was nervous. You wanted to see me? Lily, I want to make a trade. I was direct. She froze. Pass a message to your uncle. Just say, there's a small firm called Visionary Capital eyeing that wasteland in West Harbor, and we seem to have heard something about zoning. Lily's eyes widened. Why me? I don't have any influence. Because you're perfect. You're invisible. You're his niece. Hearing it accidentally from you sounds more like a lucky coincidence than a formal report from his managers. I looked at her. In return, if this works, I'll give you 1% equity in my company. Lily's mouth fell open. Don't worry. I'm not asking you to be a corporate spy. Just pass a comment. Whether it works or not is up to fate. No risk to you. She thought for a long time, twisting her fingers. Finally, she looked up, a timid determination in her eyes. I don't want shares. Can I learn from you? I think you're really capable. I was stunned. This soft-looking girl had her own agenda. Learn from me? Yeah, I study art, but my family doesn't respect it. I want to see how you do business. I smiled. Deal. You're Visionary Capital's first art consultant. Lily finally smiled, nodding vigorously. A few days later, Lily sent a short text. Message delivered. Uncle seemed interested. That was enough. The seed was planted. Now I waited. And in the meantime, I went back to water my thorny rose. I went back to the gym. This time, I waited right outside the women's locker room. Victoria came out with a few friends. Her face froze instantly. Her friend, a girl with short hair, stepped in front of her. What do you want now? I ignored her, looking at Victoria. Talk. We have nothing to talk about. She tried to sidestep me. I grabbed her wrist. Victoria, not even about the West Harbor land deal. She stopped dead, whipping her head around to look at me, shock and suspicion warring in her eyes. How do you know about that? Interested now. I let her go and pointed to the lounge. 5 minutes. Victoria told her friends, go ahead without me. Tori, it's fine. Her voice was firm. The lounge was empty. Victoria sat opposite me, arms crossed, defensive. Speak. What's the game? Simple. I know Vance Group is looking at that land. But your internal assessment reports probably haven't factored in the zoning change, have they? Victoria's pupils contracted. What are you saying? Exactly what it sounds like. I have solid intel. There's going to be a massive upside there within 6 months. I leaned forward. Victoria, how about we partner up? She looked like she'd heard the world's worst joke. Partner? You and me? Caleb, who do you think you are? I'm the guy with the intel and the guts. Your family is huge, slow, bureaucratic. By the time you get approval, the opportunity is gone. My company is agile. Victoria is native. Talk is cheap. Not for free. I provide the intel. You provide the capital. When it pays off, I want 30% of the profits. 30? You're dreaming. Then we're done. I moved to stand up. I'm sure the Vance Group isn't the only developer interested in West Harbor. Victoria stared at me, sharp as a hawk, trying to gauge if I was bluffing. She must have heard the rumors I planted. They matched what I was saying. That was why she hesitated. Source? She asked. Not your concern. It's accurate. She was silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke, voice dry. I need proof. Something convincing. Or I can't take this to my father. She was wavering. Tomorrow. I'll give you some evidence. I stood up, leaning close to her before leaving. Victoria, pleasure doing business. She didn't flinch, just watched me coldly. Remember, this is business. Keep your feelings out of it. I laughed. Of course. I'm strictly professional. Yeah, right? The so-called evidence was an anonymous analysis report I forged. It combined public data with my future knowledge, looking professional and highly suggestive without being blatant. I had Lily leave it where Victoria would accidentally find it. 2 days later, Victoria called. We met in a secluded private club. She wore a power suit, hair pinned up, looking capable and distant. My father agreed to meet you, she said. But the terms change. 10% profit. Maximum. And you sign a strict NDA with liability clauses if the intel is bad. 10%? Keeping the change. 25. That's my floor. Liability is fine, but if the intel is good, I want every penny I'm owed. We haggled like merchants. She fought hard, trying to squeeze me dry, but I held my ground. Eventually, either the land was too tempting or her father was just curious about my cards. She folded. 20%. Final offer. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Vance Tower, CEO's office. Deal. I extended my hand. She hesitated, then shook it briefly. Her fingertips were cold. Caleb, I hope you know what you're doing. I always do. The next day, I wore my best suit to Vance Tower, a skyscraper piercing the clouds. Richard Vance was an imposing figure, sharp-eyed. Victoria stood beside him, looking like a trophy but watching me like a hawk. Mr. Stone, young and ambitious. Richard was polite but radiating pressure. He drilled me with questions. Source, company structure, plans. I answered with a mix of truth and lies, airtight where it mattered. I sensed his attitude shift from dismissal to intrigue. An hour later, Richard stood up. Victoria will handle the details. Mr. Stone, let's hope your information is worth the price. It will be. Walking out, Victoria and I were alone in the corridor. Didn't think you could bluff that well, she murmured. Not a bluff. Competence. Ich glänze her. Miss Vance, do I qualify now? She didn't answer, walking faster. But I saw the tips of her ears turn pink. She was on board the pirate ship now. The funds cleared fast. The auction was smooth. Nobody wanted the wasteland, so my shell company, representing Vance Group, got it cheap. The industry mocked the Vances for buying dirt. Victoria took the heat. I saw her at project meetings, looking tired but steel-eyed. She had backbone. We worked together, strictly professional. She kept her distance. I didn't push. Once the land was ours, I practically lived at the site, overseeing the prep work. I knew the announcement was coming. One night, I was reviewing blueprints in the temporary trailer. A storm was raging outside. My phone rang. Victoria. Her voice sounded wrong, thick with tears. Where are you? Site trailer. I'm coming over. 30 minutes later, her car sloshed through the mud. She got out without an umbrella, soaked instantly. Makeup running, eyes hollow. I pulled her inside and tossed her a towel. What happened? She ignored the towel, staring at me, then gave a broken laugh. Chad's family pulled out a major joint venture. Because of me, I raised an eyebrow. He told them I was messing around with you, disgracing the family name. The deal collapsed. My dad tore into me. She slid down the wall, hugging her knees. I'm ruining everything. Rain dripped from her hair. She looked like a kicked puppy. My satisfaction vanished, replaced by a dull ache in my chest. I crouched down. So, you regret partnering with me? She looked up, eyes red, glaring. Caleb, do you know the pressure I'm under? If this land deal fails, I'm finished. It won't fail. How can you be so sure? Because I know. I reached out to wipe a drop from her face. Rain or tear, I couldn't tell. She flinched away. I pulled back. Victoria, want the truth? Silence. I came back from the future. She paused, then looked at me like I was insane. Are you crazy? I laughed. See? Nobody believes the truth. Just think of me as a gambler who knows the deck is rigged. We win this. She looked doubtful. Thunder cracked outside. The trailer was dim, intimate. The atmosphere shifted, heavy and charged. She was soaked, her clothes clinging to her skin, outlining every curve. My throat went dry. Victoria, are you cold? She nodded, then shook her head. I took off my work jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Then, I couldn't help myself. I leaned in and kissed her. Not like the first time, that angry, punishing kiss. This was soft, tentative, asking a question. She stiffened, but didn't push me away. Her eyelashes fluttered against my cheek. A car horn honked outside, her driver getting impatient. She shoved me back, standing up abruptly, the jacket falling to the floor. Her face was burning. I have to go. She practically fled the trailer. I watched her run, licking my lips. Sweet. The zoning announcement came faster than I expected. 1 month later, the city unveiled the West Harbor Eco Park project. Our wasteland became gold dust overnight. The value multiplied far beyond 20 times. Vance Group stock soared. The critics turned into sycophants, praising Richard Vance's vision. The Victory Gala was at the plaza. This time, I was a guest of honor. No one looked at me like a pauper anymore. People toasted Mr. Stone. Richard Vance patted my shoulder. Impressive, son. Ever thought about joining the group? Victoria stood nearby in an evening gown, looking radiant. Her eyes held a mix of shock, respect, and something else. I escaped to the terrace. Victoria followed. Congratulations, Mr. Stone, she said softly, leaning on the railing. And to you, Director Vance. Are you really from the future? She asked suddenly, half joking. Guess. She rolled her eyes, but the moonlight softened her sharp features. Thank you, she whispered. If not for this, I would have been forced to marry Chad or someone like him. Just a pawn. And now. She turned to me, eyes shining. Now I'm the hero of the quarter. Nobody can force me to do anything. I stepped closer, smelling the champagne on her breath. Can I force you to do something? She blushed. Like what? Be my girlfriend? Her breath hitched. Caleb, don't get cocky. I'm serious. Victoria, I was broke, I was nobody, but now I'm standing right here. Give me a chance. She looked at me, struggling, but there was hope in her eyes. I leaned in slowly. This time, she didn't retreat. Just as our lips were about to touch, cough. We sprang apart. Brock stood at the door, holding a drink, looking sour. Victoria, your father needs you. Victoria smoothed her hair, mask back in place. Coming. She gave me a lingering look before leaving. Brock glared at me. Don't think luck makes you worthy of her, Stone. I sipped my drink. Brock, hasn't anyone told you? Blocking a man's romance is bad karma. After the gala, I was a rising star. Visionary capital became real. Victoria and I entered a strange limbo, business partners by day, something more ambiguous by night. She texted back, agreed to dinners, but kept physical boundaries. She was guarding her heart. I was patient. Lily kept coming to my office to draw. Leo and Maya were disgustingly happy. Things were good. Until Victoria called me, sobbing. Caleb, Dad, heart attack. He's in the ICU. I rushed to the hospital. The sharks were already circling, executives and distant relatives plotting. Victoria was alone in the hallway, looking small. I held her, and she broke down in my arms. It'll be okay. Richard survived, but needed months of recovery. The vultures swooped in, trying to oust Victoria from the interim CEO role. She was young, inexperienced. It was time. I liquidated everything. My crypto gains, my land profits, and leveraged every connection to buy up Vance stock. I rallied the loyalists. At the crucial board meeting, as the old guard moved to fire her, I walked in. I slammed my share certificates and proxy votes on the table. I backed Victoria. I crushed the coup. I became one of the largest individual shareholders and took a seat on the board, right next to her. That night at the club, Victoria looked at me with watery eyes. Why? The company is a mess right now. Because of you. If I wasn't here, would you still do it? No, ifs. From the moment I came back, there was never a plan B. She cried, then laughed, wiping her tears. Caleb, you're an asshole. Yeah, you're an asshole. I kissed the tears from her face. This time, she wrapped her arms around my neck. The kiss was salty, sweet, and desperate. We became an open secret. We cleaned house at the company. Richard recovered and gave me his silent approval. One weekend, Victoria was lying on my lap in my apartment. I'd upgraded to a penthouse by then, scrolling on her phone. Hey, Chad is getting married. He sent an invite. Oh, I played with her hair. Going. Yeah, want to see if the bride is prettier than me. Impossible. At the wedding, we walked in hand. Chad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. During the vows, Victoria whispered, Hey, when are you going to ask me? I looked at her. She was blushing, pretending to watch the ceremony. I smiled, tightening my grip on her hand. Now works. I pulled out the velvet box I'd been carrying for weeks. Victoria's eyes popped. Guests started to notice. I dropped to one knee. Victoria Vance. I said clearly, Marry me. Not a question. A statement. She burst into tears, nodding furiously. I slid the ring on her finger. Perfect fit. I stood up and kissed her as the room erupted in applause. She was stuck with me. In this life and every life after. Story complete.